I know it's late and I don't have much battery left, but I had to come on. What a day. That's all I can say. Welcome to After Dark, I guess you could say. You can kind of see me. I woke up this morning and sinus pressure was happening and I had a little vertigo, which was really trippy. I had one when I woke up and I kind of tilted my head this morning and the room kind of started spinning a little bit. Then I had something when I went and got my coffee. I haven't had another one since. Keep praying I don't, because them vertigo little things are just trippy enough to just go, oh no. So I stopped off at the store. I got some like saline or saline spray because it just feels like it's all kind of in my head. And so hopefully the vertigo will stay away. I just had two this morning. Hi, Mark, how are you? So we did that. So I had scheduled let's growing through connections. I know it's dark, but I'm outside because everybody's in there talking, and I wanted to do this before my phone died. So I had scheduled a live at 2 o'clock, forgetting that today was the 6th, and we were going to go to Sam's Club. So by the time we got everybody out the door, because Josh and I and my mom goes to Sam's Club, it was probably about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we had to stop by Kohl's and Hobby Lobby. So we did those two things, and then we got to Sam's Club. And it was probably about, 3 o'clock. We got home about 5, unloaded everything, and had to have something to eat. And then my husband and I have been talking a little bit about upgrading phones. And so forth, not upgrading, but looking at another phone service, because for some reason we have Cricket, but you all have probably noticed that when we go out, sometimes it's blurry and it drops the things and tells us that we're live when we're not live and all that kind of stuff. Well, my mom needs a new battery in her phone. I have a little bit of a cracked screen on the bottom, so my screen needs to be replaced. So we've been going back and forth about this. And we have to pay our Cricket bill by the 15th. And if we're going to change services, we have to do that by the 13th. So at this point, I had changed the live before we left for Sam's Club. I changed it from 2 to 4. And then, because we were hoping to get up and get out early and go to Sam's Club, which didn't happen. And I thought, we're not going to get home by 4. And we didn't. And I'm glad I changed it. So I'll change it till 9 o'clock at night. Well, I finally tonight said, forget it. This is not going to work. So I went ahead and just rescheduled it till tomorrow. I think I scheduled it for like 5 o'clock in the evening for Blessings Through Connection. We're just going to do it till tomorrow, because we have to pay our Cricket bill by the 15th. Well, if we're going to change phone services, I don't want to pay my Cricket bill. My Cricket bill, I'm not under contract. I have it month to month. So we don't want to have to pay the Cricket bill. Go with the flow. We don't want to pay the Cricket bill, and I can't stay on here long because my phone's going to die, if we're going to change phone services. So we went on last night. Now, I've been back and forth a little bit with Spectrum. Went on the phone last night. I'm going to just do all the figures about how much it's going to cost to do their phone service through on the internet. And I said to my husband today, I said, I did it. And it came up to like $140 a month. Well, we're paying $50 or $90 a month for Cricket phone service. It's given us some issues at times when we're out and about and everything. And we're paying $60 for our internet service. And you can only have Spectrum if you have internet. And we have internet because of where we live. So I said, well, let me look it up. Well, I looked it up and it was like $140. Because when we do it, we also need to do it we have to upgrade our phones. Because they're not going to transfer over. God willing, we can transfer over the numbers If we can't, we can't. But the one number that we would like to make sure that gets transferred over, we think we'll be able to do it, is my husband's phone number, because that's the one that my dad had. So my dad at one point could not use his phone with dementia, so he gave it to my husband, and that phone number was transferred. So it's almost like a legacy phone number. So it'll be hard to see that phone number go, and my husband really loves having that number because that was my dad's number. So hopefully we can transfer over the phone numbers without any problems. We can't just, the phones won't transfer over from Cricket to Spectrum. And again, my mother's phone needs to have a new battery put in it, and I need a new screen, which is going to be at least 180 to do both of those things, about 160 somewhere in there. So we've been at the Spectrum store. We had 2 different figures on what the price was going to be for it. Both of them were about a $50 difference between the two, which when you're living on a budget, I'm telling you, you know, like I said to the guy on the phone, I said, when you're living on a budget, you can maybe think about having to spend $15 more a month. Hi, Marketplace. Pay $15 a month. But when you're having to be hit with a bill that is going to cost you, like, you're expecting it to be like 140, and then it's having to cost you like, you know, 180 plus the cable bill at $40. Hi, Bud Files. You know, that's just a little bit, you just can't factor that in. That's really difficult when you're living on a budget. You know, and I said, I want to know exactly what my bill is going to be every solitary month, because I have to budget it. And I have to know what it's going to be and so forth. So the guy was amazing on the phone. And I said, well, I even got we've been burned a couple times too, by people, I'm telling you, oh, the vertigo this morning, phew. I have not had another vertigo episode since woke up this morning and I just went like this, and I opened my eyes and the whole room was spinning. And then I came through and had my coffee and I tilted my head and the whole room was spinning. I have not had another one since this morning. So hopefully those were just, my equilibrium was off for a moment. Hopefully that does not happen again, because I've had that once before in my life, and it was terrible. And I had to be a cashier during that time too when that was happening. Whew. So hopefully that won't happen again. I have not had anything else. I have not had another episode. So I went on the phone with him about 7:30. And I'm telling you, we finally got off the phone with him at 9 o'clock. So then I rescheduled Blessings to the Connection before I left for Sam's Club, because I thought we're not going to get home by 4 o'clock by the time we all were leaving. And I'm thinking to myself, let me schedule it for 9 o'clock. I know I'll be home by then. And we were on the phone. I said, and the minute at 2, he was upgrading our internet, because our internet is it'll be a little bit faster speed. And so I couldn't get on there to change it. And I thought, I'm not going to do this after doing all this. He was amazing on the phone, because he was, trying to figure it out and everything like that and so forth. And he said, you know what, you're pretty smart. Hi, Mickey. You're pretty smart to think about the fact that you have to pay to get your battery updated. We have iPhones 11, all of us do. You have to get your battery updated. You have to get your battery updated, or your battery replaced in my mom's phone. You've got to get your screen replaced. And my battery's going like crazy. You have to get your battery done. And we're iPhone users till the end. We started with iPhone. I love iPhone. When it comes to doing editing, when it comes to doing stuff for the channel, it works best with an iPhone. At least I feel it does. I don't want to have to learn another phone at this point. And so we've all had iPhones 11s. This is the first time in our entire time. We started with iPhones back when there was iPhone like 5, something like that, 4 or 5, something like that. We have never had a new iPhone current with what is out there ever in at least, I'd say 15 years. Every iPhone we've had has always been several ones down, and we keep them till we cannot keep them anymore. I mean, this is an iPhone 11. They're already at 17. I mean, we keep them. We had our iPhones. We got our iPhones 11, 2000, it wasn't 22. Maybe it was 22. And it was 22 or it was 2019. We've had these for like 6 years. So we use them till the nth degree. And we were able to get trade-ins on all our phones. Plus they were running a promotion. So, so forth. So we were able to get trade-ins. But we've had, all of our iPhones have been at least, like I said, it's been like 6 years. So he was on the phone for an hour and a half. So anyway, and of course the 17s will come out in September. But we went ahead and we just did the thing. And got the iPhones, and so that's what did it. So between doing all that, it was like, blessings through connection is not going to happen tonight. I usually been pretty on target. So I rescheduled it till 5 o'clock tomorrow for Blessings Through Connection. If you haven't checked out that channel, go check it out. But I've been posting a lot. I got to get back to editing the devotions, because I've got some that I've recorded. But I have started putting up the Bible verses so we can get back on track to the date of the day for the Bible verses. But anyway, and I've missed, not too often in the past, I guess, since we've been doing the quotes Mondays. I haven't missed very often. I missed this Monday. Didn't happen. So hopefully I don't have any more vertigo. That was trippy this morning. Josh has a doctor's appointment tomorrow. But weren't expecting to do it. But we went ahead and did it. Now you have to pay for the taxes of the phones up front. But I wanted to know what my bill was going to be every month. And for all of us to get, not even new iPhones, well, iPhones that were refurbished, and not even 16s, like 12s and 13s and so forth. It was going to cost like $1,000, which none of us have. $1,000 for all of us to get phones. And I'm like, we can't do that. We got to do something. My husband's phone is dying. My battery is going. My screen is cracked. My mother's phone. And what is happening, too, with our service is that we're going and doing stuff. Like, we'll go to church, and I'll think that we're live, and it's not, and it drops us. Or like we were down in Columbus, and the phone service was terrible. And you guys, we were trying to record down there with, down at Smith's, delicious food if you're in Columbus, Ohio. And sure enough, it was all grainy. So this should absolutely have a better phone service. Hoping. Better connection. We'll give it a try. That's all I can do. But iPhone 16s are on their way. And really, I didn't pay my Spectrum bill. I've got our Cricket bill. I have that to pay out by the 15th. So I won't pay that this month. And then we don't get the next bill for Spectrum until October, because we're paying a month in advance. So we don't have to pay the other $90 I would have paid for Spectrum. So it's $180 right there. I think we had to pay the taxes, which was $140 or something like that. So honestly, it really, for all of us to get new iPhones, or 16s was like $120. And I thought, we can't fix the problems that are on my phone and my mom's for that price. It wouldn't work. So we just looked at each other. We looked at all of us and said, "Happy early Merry Christmas." And I said to my husband, I said, happy early birthday, because his birthday is in January. So we just said, well, we usually spend, $30, $40 on each person. For Christmas, I have to get my mom her teapot calendar. And I said, we just looked at each other and we said, we're going to do this instead. Let's all contribute a little bit, here and there. And this is what we'll do. And we'll get everybody, upgraded on the phone service. Now we hoping, like I said, I've got his phone number to his supervisor. And I have the supervisor's email, which I'm going to write the supervisor and tell Spectrum what a wonderful, patient gentleman this was. Very efficient, very patient, very understanding of what I needed and why I needed it. And but I'm planning to write him and tell him that. And my phone's like at 9%. It's like I've only been on here a little bit, and it's just going down. It's taken forever to charge on top of it. And so I said, if there's a problem, you're going to get a phone call. we were calling him James through the entire thing, and he finally said, my name's Danny. And I don't know how he did it. I finally said to him at one point, I said, you know what? I think, quite frankly, figuring this whole thing out, there's no system that they have on Spectrum that sits there and says, let's just plug all this stuff in and give you an accurate price, right? And just tell you, right? There was no place. So he was having to figure this out on old-fashioned ways. And I said, geez, goodness gracious, this is easier to get. Hi, Carol. This is easier to get in than this Fort Knox. I think would be easier to do than this. Lord have mercy. I couldn't believe it. He was figuring it out. I said, I couldn't do this job. I could not do it. And he said, my jaw, my mouth. He was just so patient on the phone with me as I was trying to say, it was just because when you're on a fixed income, if I'm paying $150 a month for my internet and my phone bill, and then I get the phone bill and I'm paying now, hi Chris, I'm paying $180 for my phone bill plus the $40 for the internet. That's $220. That's $70 more than what I'm paying. And for somebody on a fixed income, that makes it really, really hard. And so I'm like, you've just got to let me know. So we'll see if what he said for the bill is exactly what I'm going to be paying a month. Because we figured out it was going to be probably about $123 for the phone bill, and then $40 for the internet. My internet, we're paying $60 a month, so it drops it by $20. So it's $162, and I'm paying $150. So for $12 more, I get better service. Okay, that's fine. That's a lot better than having to come up with $220. $45 here for internet, $25 for phone, yeah. Well, it's $40 for Spectrum internet if you bundle with phones. And then my mother gets a free line for a year, and then after a year, she has to pay $30 a line. But then if we pay her phone off first, then we wouldn't have to deal with the extra little bit. She's getting a 16E, but she doesn't need a fancy. She doesn't need anything. And then first we were looking at myself for a 16 Pro. My husband wanted me to get a Pro, and I'm like, listen, I have a track phone. I pay $21 every 3 months. Yep, I would love to just be able to do that. I can't. And that's wonderful to be able to do that, by the way. But I said, well, first I couldn't find one that was, the 16 Pro was going to be like $30, financing the phone was like $30 a month. And I said to my husband, I said, I'd love to have the 16, but the 16 Pro, but I said, and he found a regular 16. I said, listen, if I've been able to do what we've been doing on this YouTube channel with an iPhone 11, this girl can do it with a 16. Pro would be nice to have, but I can upgrade for free down the road. I ain't gonna worry about it. I'll be happy, go lucky. I'm just happy to get a phone without, I've got on the very bottom of my phone, there's this huge black line like this. 2 black lines going because the screen got damaged on the bottom. So I'll be happy for that, and one that doesn't take forever to charge up. So hopefully it'll stay charged longer. And so I said, I'll be thrilled. I said, I know the 16 Pro would probably be better for camera and video and all that, but you know what? It's still going to be an upgrade. It's still going to be better than what we have. I said, I will be perfectly fine with the 16. And it's $5 cheaper a month. So I said, you know, that really adds up over time. If you think about it, if you think $5 times 10, it's just, you know, doesn't seem like much, but it's going to add up. I said, I'll be fine with the 16. So I said, just get me the 16. Down the road, I can upgrade for free and do what I want, but let me just sit with the 16. See, if I wasn't doing, you know, if we weren't doing this YouTube channel, I could maybe go with something. Now, we thought about maybe trying to learn Android. I've just never really liked them. We started with iPhone and we kind of kept on that track. But, you know, doing something like with a track phone when you're trying to do what we're doing for the channel would be a little difficult. So Mom's phone, because the channel is hers, would be able to be taken off as a business expense. You know, I need the connection. She gets all the revenue for the channel, so, but we need to have the other. I have 3 channels. Well, and I don't know if, I guess track phone, isn't track through for Walmart? I'll have to look. I'm going to take a thing. I don't know if I'm connected, Carol, with your channel yet, but I will certainly take a look at it for sure. High real odds and even, like I said, at 6%. I'll have to look at it. You know, we live up in Ohio, and the problem with up here is I looked at like Mint Mobile. I looked at maybe going to Walmart. Sam's Club has one, but, you know, sometimes you go into, and broke, but, oh, and the broke, but Battlefield bus. Okay. I'm taking a picture of that. I don't really need a 16. Here's the thing. I don't really need a 16. And if I could have done it with being able to have a 15 or even a 14 or a 13, you better believe this girl would have done it. I'm not all about having the newest iPhone out there. But we get trade-in value on our iPhones. Mom gets an iPhone trade-in. I think hers was like, I think hers was like 100 and something or other. She gets an extra $100. We all get an extra $100 trade-in value on all of our phones if we do a 16. So what they do is they say, okay, my screen has a little crack, so they're going to take it. But like Josh's phone, I think is like 175 trade-in value. So what they do is they take that $175 and they take off like a little bit every month. So they'll take off $12 or $13 off our bill every solitary month. On all of our phones, on the bills, they'll deduct that. So we get a trade-in value that we wouldn't get if we hadn't done a 16. If we had done like, because I'd have been happy with a 15, but then we don't get the trade-in value. So we get a trade-in value with all the phones. I've looked at T-Mobile, and they are very expensive. T-Mobile is actually very, very expensive. We've always been able to, Lord willing, throughout the years, been able to get iPhones, and Josh finds them on eBay, unlocked, whatever, you know, and does them for pretty reasonable. But we just can't afford to All right, I will look at it. We cannot afford to lay out the funds for it. In the past, we've been able to do that. If we sold our house, my mom sold our house down in Florida. So when we moved, we needed new phones and we got new phones. So we've been able to do that, but this year we just couldn't do it. So this was the only economical way to do it. That at least we could upgrade all our phones for about $100, which was pretty reasonable, and keep our bill around where we were kind of paying already.
Hello.
Hello.
We're going for a walk.
Okay.
You want the light on?
No.
Okay. Break.
Mocha's going for a walk. I'm going in a minute because my phone's at 4%.
Oh, okay.
Yes, hi, Miss Smokies.
Would you turn the light on then when you
Yes,
go in?
I will. There's my snort a lot. So anyway, but by the time we got done with all the numbers, I was like, I was done. I'm done. I don't know how the guy did it. And we'll see. We'll see. I will give a review on Spectrum and my saga with Spectrum, I guess, and their internet service, which I have that, but also just their phone service. My kind of review on their phone service, and how I would recommend somebody going to check out their phone service. And as far as their service, we'll have to see if it's better than going through other. We have bright speed for internet. Yeah, I looked at that too, but where we live, we can only have Spectrum. I looked at bright speed for that too, and we looked at T-Mobile. They were goodness gracious. They were going to be like $250 or something like that for internet service and phones. I mean, they were outrageous. We looked at T-Mobile. We looked at all of them before we kind of made the decision. And then we were on the phone. I'm like, can you just, before I got to pay my Cricket again? We've been very happy with Cricket. But recently I have not been very happy with them because I just really wasn't happy with. I've noticed when we're going on the road, like when we're going to Columbus, we were having some issues where you guys didn't know if I was there and so forth. And I thought, it was just for us right now, the most economical way to go. Now, one thing that I really kind of liked is that we can call Spectrum and pay on the phone. So if we had a little bit of extra funds and we wanted to pay an extra $20 on Mom's phone, then we could, which is an economical way to be able to do it. And all the phones we've had up to this point have all been, not pre-ordered. They've been all refurbished. These are all brand new. And the only person that got protection on her phone was this girl. My mom and Josh didn't get protection, but I have a habit of dropping my phone because of my hands, and so I got protection on my phone. But we'll see what the saga is. So I'll tell you whether or not the bill is exactly. And I told the guy, I said, if the bill's not exactly what you're telling me it's going to be, there will be a phone call. So just get the person's information. He said, you get it. You can call my supervisor. He gave him his supervisor and his supervisor's email, and I'm planning to write to his supervisor and tell him, really honestly, how patient he was, and I was willing to work with us, and the price is locked in for 2 years. So we'll see. We shall see. The only thing is that in order to have Spectrum mobile, you have to have Spectrum internet. And so we'll have to, if we do move from this area going closer to Christina, hopefully by then they will move into that area as well. So we'll see, but that's down the road. And at the end of the 3 years, even if we did move, where there wasn't, we would still own the phones at the end point, which we could take and move to, T-Mobile or whatever. So hopefully it'll all work itself out. But that was our saga tonight. Unexpected, but I was like, by the time I got done and him off the phone and us sitting down and me deciding on cases, I found some really pretty ones with like some sparkle to them. So who knows? But anyway, we'll see. But anyway, I will be back tomorrow. We'll go Blessings Through Connection. And maybe after we get done with Blessings Through Connection, because it's cooling off, and I started to see a little bit of fall leaves. Yay! Hopefully I don't have any vertigo tomorrow. I hope that was just a 2-time and it was done. Hopefully the saline solution will kind of loosen some of this stuff up and we don't have another one of them episodes. That was really, woof. I was not expecting that this morning. But hopefully tomorrow, what we'll do is we'll do 5 o'clock with Blessings Through Connection, and then at 7 o'clock, we'll come outside and we'll do some crochet. And I'll sit with y'all and we'll do some crochet because it is really turning out to be beautiful. And there's some fall leaves. I'm so excited. So before my phone totally dies, which has been the way it's been going lately, remember to be proud of being yourself. Everyone else is taken. Keep crocheting that connection. No crochet hook is required. And we got you covered. Thank you so much for having us covered. So I wanted to get on real quick because I thought there was a whole confusion. First it was done at 2, then 4, and then and I wanted to come on and let you all know what kind of went on today so you understood why we pushed the live back till tomorrow for Blessings Through the Connection. But we'll also come outside tomorrow evening as well and do some crochet and just chit-chat and get caught up. And then this weekend, too, we'll do maybe something. And we've got memberships to give away, so we'll do all that. So love y'all. Have a great night, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.